Well, it's never easy winning on the road. I think that's probably first and foremost. Not the prettiest game in the world, obviously for us. I mean, just especially the first half. Just I'm not saying the crowd was a huge effect, but it was. After last year not having to go on the road and have to deal with any crowd noise and things like that, maybe we came in with a little idea that we're going to huddle and do some things a little differently just to try to negate the atmosphere if we could, and kind of cost us a little bit there in the first half. I don't think we ever got into rhythm offensively, and I mean, give them a lot of credit for what they were doing defensively as well. Really until the targeting, and after the targeting penalty, I think we actually moved the ball and gave us a little energy, a little momentum. And I tell you that a team like this that really is, older, have been through a lot of things together, have grown up together. We just needed an opportunity, and once that opportunity kind of came up, we went to halftime, got a little bit of energy and momentum back, and it really kind of calmed down inside. Came out the second half and played well. And complimentary football though. I mean, to win on the road, you got to play offense, defense, and special teams. And our special teams came up pretty big tonight. I know we missed the extra point, missed the field goal. That kind of haunts you in the back of your head, but the rest of the special teams really, I think, did a phenomenal job.
3 stops inside the 10, Luke. What did that say just about your defense's ability to make a stand?
Well, we don't like to say we're a bend but don't break defense, but we don't want to give up big plays. And I think when you can force guys to earn everything, meaning if all of a sudden they get them down to the 2, 3, 4, 5 yard line, whatever it is, you got to just keep battling. And they did. They just kept battling. They didn't give in. And we were able to get 3 huge stops down there, a turnover twice and a 4th down stop. So those are obviously game changers. Those are differences in ball games. And it's poise. It's guys not panicking, where I think we have had in the past a little bit of our issues defensively of not having the poise it takes to finish out drives like that. And I'm impressed by how we're growing up.
What was it about the targeting call that seemed to flip the switch?
No idea. I don't like targeting calls. I don't like throwing guys out of games. I didn't see it, to be honest with you. I hope whatever it is, what it is. It just obviously gave us a first down, gave us the ball back. Where we hadn't created I don't think any moment, maybe 1 first down before that happened. And we needed a spark. We needed to get out of a little bit of the funk, and I think that was something that gave us that opportunity to do that.
Luke, what were you trying to do to Penix to kind of rattle him?
Well, we want to try to move around. We want to try to change up coverages on him. I think they do a pretty good job. They got into some single width formations, and I don't know if that was a plan for just us. I mean, I know they've done it in the past. Was it to get Ahmad Gardner a little bit out of the game some? But they kind of made us a little bit difficult to pressure him. But our guys up front at least were getting a 4-man rush. I don't know that we had a sack, to be honest. Maybe we did, maybe 1 or 2. But I really do believe that they collapsed the pocket well and stayed in lanes and really tried to make him have to throw from a well in some ways, with people kind of all around him. So we felt like we didn't want to let him get out on the edges.
Points off turnovers. What does that do for the psyche of your team? You got some of those today.
Well, that's what I mean. We didn't play a great ball game. I mean, when you go down to it, you got 11 penalties and I think set 80 yards in penalties, and one of those things that was really a focus for us to clean up as we got older as a team. And we didn't do that, but yet they're competitors, they're battlers, they're winners. I mean, a guy like Desmond Ritter, I don't know if you'd rather have anybody. I'm sure there's somebody, but I know we wouldn't rather have anybody at the helm, in any situation to say, hey, he's going to find a way to get us in this thing and get us out of it like he did.
Des ripped off a couple of runs. We've seen him where that gets him going before. Do you think, was that a specific to try and get him going in the run game a little bit?
Well, I think he ran a draw there early that got us going in the first half. After the target, I think he actually took a bad snap. I think it was a counter play and improvised, and at least he knew where to go, and ripped off probably about another 25, 30 yards. It's just one of those things that he can do it when he needs to. We like to limit it as much as we possibly can, but when it comes down to it, you got to find a way to win. And there's nobody that wants to win more than him. And if that means he's got to run the ball a little bit more, he'll run the ball a little bit more. But they did a really good job at taking away a lot of those skips and things that we do with the tight ends and him, and kind of made us go another direction with things.
You're obviously trying to protect him. Does maybe not wanting to run him too much, does that lend to any of these slower starts?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying we're limited to doing it. I mean, I just think that he does a lot of other things really well, and the offense can do a lot of things well. And, you know, when you go into a game, you know, you got to figure out what people are going to try to take away. And then the great thing about Desmond Ridder is he has a lot of other things that he can do. If they're going to take away one receiver, he's got another way to go about it. And if you're going to take away the run game, he can do a lot of other things. So, you know, we got to do a better job of just going in and making sure we've got a plan that not having to run him, but you know, that we can adjust, especially to some situations like tonight.
Luke, this was a game that a lot of people outside of the program pointed to for a long time as an important game, and someone inside the program is winning it now. How big of a win is this for your team?
It's huge. That's a really good football team. And, you know, I know that a lot of people will talk about, okay, now you're on to the next one and things like that. The reality is this is a really good football team. We knew we were going to be challenged. You know, I'm not saying I worried, but all week I didn't know what we really had. I mean, I know we've got competitors. You're always trying to figure out how you're going to gel and come together every single year. I wasn't exactly sure what Indiana. I knew they were good. I knew they had a lot of really good players and athletes. But they're a better football team than I even thought. I mean, I wasn't sure I recognized as good as they were defensively. But it's huge for us. I mean, you know, it's a little different world for us, just, you know, with a little bit of a spotlight, a little bit of a bullseye. And I'm not saying that, I mean, we're any bigger or any more bullseye than anybody else. I mean, Indiana was ranked in 17th or 13th coming into the season, so they had a bullseye as well. But for us and our program, it is a little bit different than, you know, what we've experienced, and you know, our guys are finding a way to really handle it.
But you mentioned the targeting call a couple times being like a turning point in the game. So the offense comes off the field when they found out they were going back on. Do you recall that moment, anything that was said?
No, there's not one thing. I mean, you don't want to celebrate because you found a way to get a first down. That's what I was probably as impressed with that situation as well as the situation we went into halftime. You know, pro-like, very business-like. You know, and as a coach, you're sitting there and kind of biting your lip and saying, okay, now do I need to get after this thing? Do I need to, you know, let them kind of, you know, fight their way through this thing? They're having some poise. I'm not sure that it's about time to cut the poise, but you know, they found a way to kind of create a little bit of momentum off of a, you know, obviously a penalty.
Coach, talk about the play of your corners, Gardner and Bryant, today.
Well, I don't know statistically what exactly they had, but I knew they were going to be challenged. I think they played pretty darn well. I'm curious as to if Indiana won a lot of single width to keep, I'm not saying away from him on it, it's what they do some too, but it does kind of put him on a backside, you know, covering a tight end that, you know, might be blocking in max protection in some ways, but you know, I think it was a good plan for that. But I don't know that they had been challenged. I know Ahmad hadn't really been challenged yet this year in the first two games. He had a couple, maybe one or two balls thrown his way. You know, so I know he was really kind of chomping at the bit to be challenged and, you know, have to take some shots on him. I think he played pretty well for the opportunities that he had to, you know, kind of man up on Freifogel and some of the really good receivers that they have, as opposed to being on the backside on, you know, on a tight end a lot. But those guys are competitors as well, and they love the challenge, and you know, I'm excited for what they did.
Peters got banged up a couple times, left the game, comes in, gets that big.
Yeah, he cramped up once. He twisted an ankle once. You know, I think he's playing a lot of ball. He's playing on special teams. You know, it was hot out there, and you know, I give our training a lot of credit that, you know, the guys, you know, go down there for quick but come back in because, you know, they got a lot of pride in what they're doing as well, and you know, but he's come a long way, and he's going to continue to grow for us.
You've got a lot of guys that have won a lot of games on this team, Luke. I'm curious if you learned anything about this team today.
Yeah, they are uniquely finding ways and different than last year. I mean, last year it was, I think, a little bit more of a emotionally fiery crew, where this year it's, right now so far from what I've seen, a little bit more of a poised, you know, business-like pro, which is a little bit different. And I'm not saying which one is better. I just know as you go through a year, you got a different demeanors a lot of times of the leadership on your team and the people that are around them. And right now, it's a more mature, you know, positive, poised group. Now, I'm not sure at times, I don't like the overly fiery guys that come out in that first half and play a little better, but you know, we're we're definitely gonna find some ways to get better at what we do.
You talked about special teams on Tuesday. You had a big punt return, obviously the kick return. Did you see something that you thought you guys might be able to?
No, they blocked 2 punts in the last game. They returned a punt for a touchdown the last game. They had a kickoff return for 72 yards. So when you go on the road, you know special teams is going to be a huge factor. I told them this morning that there will be 2 plays in the special teams that will make a huge impact in the game. I'm not foreseeing the future, but I would say it's a pretty big kickoff return, a pretty big punt return, you know, and maybe you could say a pretty big missed field goal, an extra point too. But we had not done a great job on special teams, I think, all year. I just think we've been kind of average and pedestrian-like, and they took the challenge this week, you know, based on what they had seen on film with some really talented return guys, and stepped up.
First time noticing Sauce in the slot, was that more to how Indiana was playing in the first half?
Yeah, we panicked. We tried to move him a little bit. I'm not saying he's getting bored, but you know, it's we're gonna have to adjust a little bit more defensively with some of the things that maybe people will do. I don't know that you know. I'm not saying to stay away from him, but just to maybe even frustrate him at times. So yeah, we second half started trying to jump him over to the other side a little bit and put him in those situations. But you know, we know we got to do a better job at kind of game planning that, so that it's not just a change up on the fly that not everybody's as used to.
Do you think that kept him more in tune in the second half?
Yeah. We try to do different things to keep him in tune. We've got a few guys that are like that. He's one of them, but that's where I say the maturity of the team has grown. I don't know that he could have handled it last year, and he has so far handled it really well.
How do you approach the next 2 weeks now going into one of the bigger regular season games Cincinnati's had in a while?
Well, we won't change. I mean, we set the schedule for what the bye week would be before the season. And I really want to do that so that you don't get emotional and based on where you are and what you're doing. But as you got to plan ahead of time, and you want to be able to stick with it. And I don't know that we ever really like bye weeks early in the year. You don't get to choose when you have them. I would prefer maybe a little bit later in the middle of the year, but it is what it is. So we'll use it the way we do. Coaches will do a really good job at get on the road and do a little bit of recruiting and be smart this week with a lot of young guys in development. But I mean, you saw the first half. There's a lot of things that we got to do a lot better, especially if we're going to go on another road game in 2 weeks, and think we're going to be able to kind of play like that in the first half and be able to get by.
Anything else?
Good. All right. Thank you.
Good.